Can investing in high dividend shares make you rich, or should they be avoided like the plague? In this video, I'm going to look at the highest dividend paying companies in the FTSE 100. I'll reveal what they would have earned you over the last 5 years if you had invested £1,000, and at the end I'll compare the average performance to a FTSE 100 ETF as well as a UK high dividend ETF to see which one comes out on top. This is not investment advice and is purely for entertainment purposes only. So in order of ascending dividend yield, at number 12 is the mining giant Glencore, which produces zinc, copper and steel in addition to a range of fossil fuels. The shares are up 45% over the last 5 years and the yield is 6.9% spread over 2 payments a year. As you can see at the bottom left of the screen, dividend payments have been patchy, but there has been a notable rise recently. There are a lot of people talking about Glencore at the moment. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. If you had invested £1,000 in Glencore 5 years ago, the total value of your holding would now be £1,681, taking dividends into account also. At number 11 is the UK householder Persimmon. And did you know that Persimmon is named after a horse which won several important races in 1896? Persimmon pays a dividend of 7% spread over 2 payments a year, but the shares are down 54%. The dividend history is a bit patchy, and if you had invested £1,000 5 years ago, your holding would now be worth £739, which of course is less than you started. Remember, investments can fall as well as rise. And number 10 is Aberdeen, a global investment company based in Scotland. The shares are down 48%, the yield is 7.5% spread over 2 payments. Dividends have been growing over the years but have remained fairly flat recently. Investing £1,000 5 years ago would now be worth £834. And number 9 is Imperial Brands, the supplier of tobacco products around the world. The shares have fallen 40%, so although the yield looks impressive at 7.7%, is it really worth it? Dividends are paid quarterly and payments have been stable for the last few years after a long period of growth. Your £1,000 would be now worth £867. At number 8 is the UK's largest house builder, Barratt Developments. Despite a 7.8% yield, the shares are down over 15%. Dividends are paid twice a year and they have been growing recently despite a blip in 2020. Your £1,000 investment 5 years ago would now be worth £1,104 with dividends taken into account. At number 7 is the insurance giant Aviva, with over 18 million customers across its core markets of the UK, Ireland and Canada. The dividends might be high at 8%, but the shares have not had a good time, down 40%. Dividends over the years have fluctuated somewhat, but 2022 was encouraging. Shareholders also benefited from a return of capital when the company sold some businesses last year. But even with this factored in, your £1,000 invested 5 years ago would now be worth £966. At number 6 is another house builder, Taylor Wimpey. The shares have fallen 31% and the dividend is 8% a year, spread over 2 payments. Dividend growth is showing an upward trend overall. Our £1,000 would now be worth £938. And just a quick reminder to check out the video description to see a range of offers that could save you some money. Now at number 5 is a big favourite of many viewers on the channel. It's Legal & General. The shares have slipped 9%, but the dividend yield is very high at 8.3%, and the dividend growth looks very impressive. But the question is, has that yield compensated for the fall in the share price? Well, the answer is yes, and your £1,000 would now be worth £1,215. What's your feeling about Legal & General? Let me know in the comments box. And if you are finding this video useful, then please hit the like button as it really helps out the channel. Thanks. At number 4 is British American Tobacco, the largest tobacco company in the world based on net sales. The shares are down nearly 40% and the yield is 8.9% spread over 4 payments a year. Dividends have been growing nicely, but you would still be down overall on your investment, with your £1,000 now being worth only £857. At number 3 is Phoenix Group, the provider of insurance services. The shares are down over 21% and the yield is 9.3% spread over 2 payments. Historical dividends look fairly stable and overall you would be in profit with your £1,000 now being worth £1,137. At number 2 is M&G, which manages global investments and demerged from the Prudential. The shares are down 13% and the yield is huge at 9.9% spread over 2 payments a year. Dividend history shows an upward trend and overall you would be showing a gain with your original investment now being worth £1,229. And the FTSE 100 company with the highest yield of all is the telecoms giant Vodafone. The shares are down nearly 60% over the last 5 years. The yield is 10.7% spread over 2 payments. Dividend history shows a recent downward trend after several years of growth. And your original investment 5 years ago would now be worth only £708. Now I'm also going to compare this portfolio with a UK high dividend ETF like this one, which has the ticker code IUKD. So if high dividends is your thing and you want a bit more diversification, then this ETF could be something to consider. The yield is 5.7% spread over 4 payments a year and the ongoing charge is 0.4%. The price is down 25% however, and even with the dividends factored in, your investment would be showing a loss after 5 years. So what about a basic FTSE 100 index tracking ETF which buys you the whole index? Dividend yield is 4% spread over 4 payments, and the ongoing charge is tiny at just 0.07%. At the time of this video, the price is down slightly over the last 5 years. Overall, you would at least be showing a gain on your investment. And here is the overall summary. If you had invested £1,000 spread across the 12 highest yielders 5 years ago, you would now be in profit, although the effects of inflation always need to be considered. Going for a high dividend ETF would have shown a loss overall, but the basic FTSE 100 index tracking ETF would have performed the best and would now be worth £1,144. So the moral of the story is that just because you see those giant dividend yields, when you look beneath the surface, is it really a good investment over the long term? But there is also another thing to consider. Companies which pay very high dividends tend to be more at risk of a dividend cut, and when this happens, shareholders become worried, often leading to a further price fall. This screen shows all of the FTSE 100 companies which have already cut their dividends this year. The biggest cut was by the copper miner Antofagasta. Sometimes a company cuts its dividend not because it's in trouble, but because it will use the money to grow the business, like in the case of SSE, which is using the funds to invest in renewable energy. So at the end of the day, dividends are never guaranteed, and a company can change its policy at any time. But which UK companies have grown their share price steadily over time? To find out, then click this video here.